Well, there's a third party that comes to play in this too, right? And that those are companies that store data or that mine data, right?
Yes.
I think Meta or Facebook, they had a report that came out this month in April that identified I think a number of nation state actors that were performing disinformation campaigns targeting Ukrainians, and they were able to identify those accounts and delete them off the platform. But so how do we how does the United States develop cyber tactics for cyber warfare when you have this third party that isn't necessarily under the umbrella of the U.S. government?
Well, that's actually when I was thinking about what we were going to talk about today, that's the piece that I really think is going to be the strategic advantages is those nation states that can learn how to sort of let loose some of the reins of control and allow a bigger role for the third party commercial entity to play. Will likely be the most innovative, most advanced steps forward in that realm. We saw. I brought up the example earlier of what
Starlink.
SpaceX was able to
Yeah,
do.
yeah. Let's talk about that because that kind of brings both of these points together, and their response time was a lot better than what
Yeah,
we
amazing.
would normally see in our anti jamming
Yeah.
techniques.
Well,
So
and I
talk about
think
that for a second.
yeah, well, I think they talked. I mean, what was the word that the DoD spokesperson said? He was an eye-watering response, which I would agree. It was incredibly quick the way they were able to push forward the code and implement it and be successful. And it's part of the problem is, and I'm going to get on a little bit of my soapbox is the simply just the acquisition process that the government has. It sets up a situation one that is cumbersome, even when it's supposed to be fast. A lightning fast time from requirement identification to actual funds flowing and contract execution is probably 18 months on a fast cycle. And certainly during wartime there are a few exceptions, but generally it's about 18 months. Second of all, the way that the government goes about its requirements development process sets up a situation where um, it's incremental change is possible, but no blue ocean ideas are ever going to get in there because the system's already set up for very specifically defined requirements. So we have the objective. We know what the objective of this contract is. However, it's already been agreed upon what the methodology should be to reach that objective. So it's the same players with the same products and services. Only, the joke always made with my engineering firm is everything size, weight, and power. Right. Next year, it's going to be a little smaller. It's going to be a little more power, and the batteries are going to be a little lighter. I mean, and that's it, right? That's how. But that idea that achieves that objective for a fraction of the investment and with greater impact, they're going to look at that, sort of like a hog looking at a wristwatch. They're just not going to understand it and it won't fit into the system. It'll be rejected. And so the opportunity for real innovation disappears in the government's hands. However, when you got a company like SpaceX or these other dynamic companies out there operating in the commercial space who have to turn a profit, they're moving like that. I mean, they from idea to execution, it could be a couple weeks, or in the case of a crisis response, they get the code pushed out in a matter of hours. Where the government will be looking around, oh, well, how are we going to get this funded?
Yeah, but it's funny. Even to a degree, that's seen between large commercial entities and small hacker communities. I mean, I think about these guys that are bounty hunters that basically will hack a company system in exchange for a bounty to validate or invalidate the security. Those guys that work on a freelance basis can often uncover things
Yeah.
that all the testing, regression testing, fuzz testing, all the testing that they do in the in-house group because of their protocols, because of their myopic sight,
Yeah.
they just can't see it. So you need that organic outside uh, uh, effect and a way of harnessing that and bringing that into the mix.
I 100% agree. And the thing is, we really have to find a different way of the government to interface with the commercial world, because once you have a government contract in place, it's almost like it's almost like a virus replication issue, right? Because the requirements of the government contract cause the receiving organization of that contract to act and behave more and more like the government, because they have reporting requirements, auditing requirements, the way that they evaluate the level of effort, number of hours, and who worked on what, and we need specific things defined, and we need to have a very cohesive plan from this step to this step that says these milestones were met. All of that stuff, which is good management practice. I'm not going to say that it's completely useless, but in terms of quick response, of being able to really aggressively move at the speed of technology, it doesn't work. And frequently that's why the government struggles, to integrate, technology advantages.